Mic check 1 2. So I've gotten a lot of comments from folks who have just been talking to me about the collection and, you know, the prospect of me selling the bulk of my collection and only keeping 100 games. And a lot of folks have been telling me, bro, don't do it. Don't sell. Don't get rid of your games. You're going to completely regret it. I'm getting testimonials from people who are telling me that they were where I am now a few years back and they wound up selling a lot of their collection and they just kind of regret getting rid of a lot of the games that they had. And for me, you know, it wasn't until I started to get to like my really retro stuff, like my Super Nintendo stuff, my Sega Genesis stuff, that, man, that nostalgia just kind of gripped me. And, you know, I had to kind of tell myself, okay, maybe I'm going to need to expand this to maybe more than 100 games, because there's there's a good amount of games in here that I don't really see myself giving away. Now, when it comes to the Sega Genesis collection, there are a few games that I don't have a lot of nostalgic attachment to, one of them being Shadow Dancer. I do like Shadow Dancer. I think it's a cool game. I do have it complete in box. But this isn't particularly a game that I actually had like growing up. So Shadow Dancer is one that I wouldn't be too heartbroken if I sold. It's the same way with a game like Monster Boy or Wonder Boy rather in Monster World. This is another one that I'm not super convinced I'd like lose sleep over if I sold. What else do we have here? Mercs, I think, is another one. Mercs is cool. But again, not one that I grew up with. So this is one that I think I could let go of. I feel like Mercs is like it's almost like not a bootleg version of Shock Troopers, but I would rather play Shock Troopers than play Mercs, because at least Shock Troopers is like, it's like the Metal Slug version of Mercs. It has more animation, the colors are brighter, just better effects. I kind of like Mercs, and that's a Neo Geo game, by the way. So Mercs is one that I feel pretty confident that I could let go of without losing sleep. But then you have like games like these that I for sure grew up playing as a kid. I mean, I could never give these away. Forgotten Worlds. Whoa, you see all these games coming down here. Let me go ahead and set these to the side. And I also have these, right? So these are like these remakes, like Glay Lancer. This is tough because I really, really like this shoot 'em up. Glay Lancer is probably top 5 shoot 'em ups of all time to me. I do have this on the Switch. There was a Switch version that I picked up, but to have the physical copy is really cool. This game is like pretty expensive. To get an original copy of Glay Lancer, which only released, I think, overseas. I think this was only released in Japan. To get a like complete in-box copy of the original Glay Lancer is ridiculously expensive. I'm not sure if it's over $1,000 or what, but I know it's super expensive. So this is a great way to have it physically. And then same thing with this one here, Rendering Ranger. I don't think we got this here in the States, but this was a remake created by Limited Run. So I was glad to get my hands on both of these here. But just getting back to some of the more nostalgic stuff, I mean, games like Forgotten Worlds, this is a game that I definitely watched my brother tear into night after night after night until he finally beat the game. This game is brutal. This is a brutal side-scrolling shoot 'em up. Really, I guess it essentially plays like a shoot 'em up, but Forgotten Worlds is sick. I mean, Altered Beast, geez, I mean, this is a Sega classic, man. I don't know. I don't know if this is one I can let go of. I gotta allow at least my kids to experience this at least once before I let it go, and they gotta experience it the way I did, on an original cart with the original Sega Genesis. Call me a stickler for something like that, but even Strider Returns. This is a huge one. Who's going to say anything about Sonic 2? I mean, I know Sonic 2 is a super common game. There are copies of Sonic 2 anywhere. I'm really stoked because I feel like my copy is super clean. So that's why I wouldn't want to get rid of my copy of Sonic. This thing is like dead stock. I don't even know if... I remember I bought this as a part of a lot from a lady who had pretty much all her Sega games just stored in a closet somewhere for 30 years. Like, they played their games once, never played it again, and just left it. I mean, that manual is immaculate. So some of these pieces, when it comes to the Sega stuff, they're true collector's pieces. So I don't really know how I feel about it. Even this original Sonic, I mean, You see a lot of for resale Sonics, but this is another really, really clean Sonic. And this is like the equivalent of Super Mario Bros. On the Super Nintendo or on the NES. Captain America and the Avengers. I used to sleep over at my cousin's house just to play this game every single time. My older cousin, he would pick Captain America. I had to be Iron Man every single time. One of my other cousins, he would be Hawkeye, and then you have Vision. And my cousins were cool because they actually had the adapter that allowed you to play with 4 players at one time, which I thought was super cool. But my older cousin was smart. He was smart enough to know to pick Captain America because Captain America, his shield does damage when you throw it, and it also did damage coming back. So on certain levels, using that shield was the best way to take out some enemies. But Captain America, so many Friday nights and Saturday nights. I mean, the nostalgia is just crazy. It's breaking my heart. It's breaking my heart. Golden Axe 2, I do remember Golden Axe 2. I'm not super nostalgic over this game, but I do remember playing it. So there's just like a few. There's a few. When it comes to like the carts, this is where it starts to get sticky for me, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about getting rid of all of my carts. And then when you come over here, I'm not as attached to some of the PS2 stuff, but the PS2 stuff, there are a few things in here that I'm gonna have a hard time letting go of. So I've definitely heard the comments. I appreciate everyone who's kind of been giving me their advice and, you know, just kind of sharing their thoughts with me on what they think I should keep and what I should let go of. But I think the best bet for me is to scale back on the PS4 stuff. I'm going to keep a lot of like the unique PS4 games that I have. Robbie Ribby, Ultra Core, you know, Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time, the Castlevania collection, River City Girls. Like, I'll keep some of the limited run, some of the rarer stuff. Battle Garega, That'll Stay, Deadpool, Turtles in I almost said Turtles in Time, Mutants in Manhattan, some of that stuff. But then I have some of these handhelds that, like, I think some of my hardware is gonna have to go. You know, what is this, the Purple Berry or the Red Berry Game Boy Color? This one I might be ready to let go of this one here, because of course I do have the Analog Pocket, so I'm not super sure if keeping the Game Boy Color is going to be the best route to go. I only have one game for it, well, not Super Wario, but Wario Land 3. And this one for me is definitely more so nostalgia because I had a Game Boy Color back in junior high. Maybe junior high or early high school. I can't remember. I think it was junior high. But back then, junior high, for me, junior high was right when Pokemon first came out. So all we were really playing was Pokemon. Either Pokemon Red, Pokemon Blue, or Pokemon Yellow, which came a little bit later. But I'm not sure about the Game Boy, you know, the Game Boy Color. I may keep it, I may not. We'll have to see. My original Game Boy, this is just a ton of nostalgia because, again, this is the first console I ever owned as a kid. Mega Man 2. I mean, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. Let me know down in the comments which section should I sell off first. I've already been getting rid of a lot of Switch stuff because a lot of that stuff is digital, so it's easier to get like a lot of the Switch games digitally because almost every Switch game that's been released has been released digitally. But I don't know if there's like a digital version of like God Hand, like a licensed digital version. Of course, we can emulate everything in this room, right? Everything in this room could be emulated. But if we put emulators aside, I mean, there's just certain things that you're not going to be able to just quickly pick up and sell and get rid of, which is why I've been kind of aiming more at getting rid of, you know, a lot of these special edition Switch games like the Hyperlight Drifters and the Ghost Blades and the Scourgebringer, and definitely want to get rid of that Castlevania for sure. If you're in the market looking for a Castlevania, I got one for sale. So that's where I think I'm going to be leaning towards. The GameCube is super sentimental to me because my mom bought that for me when I was, I think, in high school. And I think that was when this one came out. And I didn't actually get that version of it. I think she had bought me the black GameCube because I didn't want the purple one. I didn't want the indigo one. So keeping something like that is definitely sentimental. But you guys have been giving me a lot of cool comments. You give me a lot of cool comments on my, you know, quitting collecting video. And I'm just, as you can see, I'm picking and choosing. I'm trying to be real selective with what I take out, but there's just so much good stuff in here that I really don't know which route I'm going to go. I am going to be doing a bulk sale, not this weekend, but next weekend. So I've got some boxes put together with some stuff that I'm going to be getting rid of. I'll share more of that with you in my more structured video that I'll be coming out with this weekend. But just want to remind everyone, I am on Instagram. So you can find me on Instagram at by looking up the y2kcollector.yt. That's y2kcollector.yt on Instagram. I do have some pretty cool posts, and I post more than video games there. I do post sneakers and just other things that interest me. But let me know what you think down in the comments. It's the Y2K Collector. Take it easy.